Okay, so she was like 30, early 30s when yeah, so hot.
So hot.
For those listening or watching, I'm going to be saying that a lot. I might not say a lot of nice things about this movie per se, but I will be commenting on Julia Roberts and Cameron Diaz hotness. Don't worry, subjectively, but all favorably and positive. Bit creepy.
Super creepy.
But I'm a middle-aged white dude, so, what are you going to do?
Creepy is your jam. It's just a state of being for you.
That's my wheelhouse.
Lights, camera, and action. Welcome to the I Remember Liking That Movie podcast. Remember those childhood movies you loved? We're going to watch them again and find out if they're still as amazing as you remember. Let's get ready to join Anna and Jimmy as they go back and watch those movies you remember being oh so awesomely good. Horror movies that scared. Comedy movies that dared.
Damn!
And action movies so preposterously ludicrous that they defied the laws of common sense. Now, here's your hosts, Anna Santos and Jimmy Coates.
Okay, welcome to the I Remember Liking That Movie podcast. Today we are in the 90s. We've been going through the 90s a lot, which is fine. I love going to the 90s and watching 90s movies.
Yes.
Yeah. And today we're going to watch a 90s movie that I'm not so thrilled about watching, a rom-com. But out of all the ones we had to choose out of our little list, I remember liking this one more than the others.
Yeah.
So what do you remember about Julia Roberts, Cameron Diaz, My Best Friend's Wedding?
I really liked this when it came out. And I also remember this was probably the first time in a rom-com where I hated the protagonist. Like, I hated Julia Roberts in this. I kept wanting to smack her. And I really appreciated that in a rom-com because this doesn't exactly follow the formula. And it doesn't follow the fairy tale kind of step-by-step instructions. And I really like that about it because I got really tired of all of the basic rom-com bullshit. And this one was really good. Also super funny. And we meet Rupert Everett for the first time, who
is this his first movie?
Well, it's the first time I saw him.
Okay.
I think he did a lot of British stuff, but I think this was like his first lead role in an American movie, especially one with this kind of like it had Cameron Diaz in it. I think Dermot. I want to say Mulroney.
Oh. I want to say Mulroney too, but I might be wrong.
I know.
It is. No, it's Mulroney. Dermot Mulroney.
Yes.
Yeah, I've only seen 50 movies with him.
No, it's the Dermots are the names are easy to mix up.
Yeah.
The actors know, but the names. So I'm always like, shit, am I getting it right? But yeah, Dermot Mulroney was in it and he was like super attractive. Julia Roberts was huge.
Oh, God, yeah.
For something super mainstream, like Rupert Everett this was his kind of introduction to the masses in North America. But he had done a lot of stuff in the UK before this. But yeah, no, I thought it was funny and I thought it was entertaining. And I really, really, really didn't like Julia Roberts in it. And I thought it was great.
Well, that's the one thing I remember because this is, I think, one of Cameron Diaz's first movies.
Yeah, I think so.
Who I had a crush on.
Who didn't?
And Julia Roberts. But that's what I remember too. I remember Julia Roberts not being like the lovable. She's kind of a douche. She's trying to break up the wedding and steal the groom.
This is probably the first time that you're kind of sitting there going, I don't want you to win.
Yeah.
Like, I want you to lose. Hardcore. Also, Cameron Diaz, she was in The Mask in 1994, and that's when she really became
that's right.
Like huge. And this was in 97. So she probably filmed it like just after, maybe a year or two after she filmed The Mask.
Yeah. Yeah, because she was a model before she got into acting, right? Yeah.
She was a model. So this was definitely the bigger push. Like The Mask kind of brought her into the mainstream, and then this pushed her even further.
Yeah, because within a year or two, she was starring in her own rom-coms.
Yes.
And a lot of them.
A lot of them, and God bless. I liked a lot of the movies she was in. I like her as an actress.
Yeah, I like Cameron Diaz. Yeah.
Yeah, she's got good
And I
presence.
like Julia Roberts. I don't like all her movies, but
Yeah. No, Julia Roberts is incredibly talented.
she's a really good actress. Yeah.
She's in one of my favorite movies of all time. This was before she was famous, Mystic Pizza. I love her. I love her so much in that.
That's the 80s, right?
Yeah. It was like 87, I think.
Was she in Fried Green Tomatoes or Steel Magnolias and all them
Steel Magnolias, not Fried Green Tomatoes.
Okay.
No. And then Flatliners.
I remember Flatliners. I don't remember a lot of the movie, but I remember being excited about it when it came out.
Freaked me the fuck out.
Yeah, had to wait because I didn't get to go see it at the theater, so I had to wait for it to come out on video.
Yeah.
All right, box office. On June 20th, 1997, with a budget of $38 million, My Best Friend's Wedding had a domestic total of a little over $127 million and an international of $172, coming just shy of $300 million.
Impressive.
Yeah, that was pretty big for 1997.
Yes.
Of note, it opened at number 2 with a weekend opening of just over 21 million, actually close to 22, behind the opening of Batman and Robin. Surprisingly or not surprisingly, if you've actually seen Batman and Robin, My Best Friend's Wedding would go on and make more money both domestically and internationally than the Cape Crusader movie, becoming the 6th highest grossing movie of 1997 and never being in the number 1 box office spot.
Impressive. But also, Batman and Robin wasn't that bad.
It was it harkened back to the TV show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wasn't that bad. I like the TV show.
Yeah. If you look at it, because everyone wanted Michael Keaton.
Yeah.
And that Batman, and that was not that Batman. This was more of a kid's.
If you look at the movie as it stands
by itself, it's goofy fun.
It's goofy fun. It's a good movie. Not great, but good. If you compare it
to any other Batman movie,
you're going to be sorely disappointed.
Yeah.
But I was not mad about it.
All right. Tale of the tape for My Best Friend's Wedding. 1997. It is a rom-com, romance comedy, PG-13, and comes in 1 hour and 45 minutes.
Huh. That feels long.
It does. Especially when you're not excited about seeing it. Taglines. Julianne fell in love with her best friend the day he decided to marry someone else.
Okay, pretty decent.
A comedy about finding your heart and losing your head.
Oh, see, that's pretty good.
Michael and Julianne have been best friends for years, but they were never more than that until he popped the question to someone else.
No, that's too many words.
Yeah, it's almost, again, it's a synopsis.
Yeah.
It's about finding the love of your life and deciding what to do about it.
That's shitty. That is a shitty tagline.
Yeah, I want to say something politically incorrect. Synopsis!
That was very exciting.
Childhood friends Julianne Potter, Julia Roberts, and Michael O'Neill, Dermot Mulroney, had a deal to marry each other if they were still single by age 28. They're only 28 in this movie?
Jesus.
Now, 4 days before her 28th birthday, O'Neill announces that he's marrying a gorgeous 20-year-old named Kimberly, Cameron Diaz. She's fucking 20? Oh my God. Suddenly realizing that she's actually in love with him, Julianne vows to stop the wedding at all costs. However, when she is appointed maid of honor, things get even more complex. Yeah, it even reads that she's a douche.
I thought Julianne and Michael were in their 30s. And what's her nuts? Kimberly was in her like mid-20s, late 20s.
No.
I thought they were all much older. I misremembered that. Also, in the 90s, yes, there was a little bit of an obsession with looking younger than you were, but not like there is today or even there was 10 years ago.
No.
Like, it's an obsession now. So when
Yeah.
you see someone who looks perfectly normal for what a 30-year-old would look like, now you're not used to seeing 30-year-olds who look like that.
I saw a thing where there's a bunch of Gen Zs all complaining that they look older than millennials.
Yeah. And Gen X fucks them up.
And it could be worse. Like in the 70s, you were 18 and then you turned 19 and you automatically look 45. And you just went up from there. You're 22 and you look like you're, because Alfred Brimley, who's the old Quaker Oats guy?
Yes. He was only like in his 50s when he did Cocoon, wasn't it? Or even
I remember 40s? I think he was in his 40s and everyone else was in their 60s, but he looked just as old as they
Well, when people talk about the Golden Girls and all of the actresses on there were like in their 50s.
Yeah.
And he's like, what?
Yeah. And you look at who's 50 now, like
Jennifer Lopez.
Even just the girls from Friends.
Julia Roberts is 56.
Yeah.
And if you see her today,
Cameron Diaz has got to be close to 50.
Yeah, I think.
And they do not look like 51. The Golden Girls.
They do not look like the Golden Girls. Not even a little bit.
All right, here's the poster. This was a Julia Roberts vehicle. To say she was huge in the 90s is an understatement. Has Julia Roberts lettering up top, a big giant facial picture of Julia Roberts, a cake with the bride and groom, and she's kind of taking off the bride. My best friend's wedding. Yeah. I think she was the first female to get 20 million per movie.
She was.
And I think she did quite a few movies at 20 million per movie.
She really did.
And in her defense, her movies pulled in a lot of money. So
she was guaranteed, like, even her failure movies, and I'm using serious air quotes with that, still made money. They just didn't make an astronomical amount of money, but they still made money. She did very, very well in all of these rom-coms and all of the, the Erin Brockoviches and America's Sweethearts, which, by the way, is still one of my favorite films of all time.
Actually, I remember really liking that movie.
I love America's Sweethearts, and I watch it every time it's on TV.
That's with Billy Crystal and
John Cusack.
Yeah.
Catherine Zeta-Jones.
Yeah, I remember liking that movie. I thought it was funny.
So fucking good. Anyways, those movies let her make the movies that are her artsy movies.
Yeah.
And I love it.
And she had a decent, she did a lot of rom-coms, but she did do the Erin Brockoviches and she did do stuff outside of it. And she just did that one for Netflix. I still haven't fucking seen it. That one where the world is ending.
Oh, yeah.
I still haven't seen it. I want to watch it. Yeah.
Oh God, what was it? Leave the World Behind?
Leave the World Behind.
Yeah, that's on my list, but I have to be in the right mindset.
Yes. 61 critic reviews at Rotten Tomatoes have this movie at 74%. And for a rom-com, that's pretty
really
high. Now, 250,000 audience reviews has it 73%, 1% lower than that's. So impressive. Everyone's in agreement. They kind of like this movie.
Yeah.
Critic consensus. Thanks to a charming performance from Julia Roberts and a subversive spin on the genre, My Best Friend's Wedding is a refreshingly entertaining romantic comedy. So let's start with the positive, and you may go first.
I'm ready. A bittersweet modern love morsel, this scrumptious drama should touch moviegoers' hearts in the action-gorge summer. Dwayne Burge, Hollywood Reporter. That's a lot of fancy words.
Yeah, glad you got that one first. The Roberts audiences knew and loved is back. Not only has a smile returned, but also the glow, the joy of performance. Michael DeQuana, themoviereport.com, original score 3.5 out of 4.
That sounds like a love letter to Julia Roberts.
Yeah.
Not only does this modern day screwball romp manage to be romantic and comical, it also offers Julia Roberts a chance to shine again in the kind of movie that she does best. Margaret A. McGurk, Cincinnati Enquirer, original score 3.5 out of 4.
So something tells me for a couple of years she wasn't doing rom-coms.
It would be interesting to see.
My Best Friend's Wedding dared to acknowledge that sometimes a friendship shared between two people who love each other can be just as important as a romantic partnership. Michael Kuby, Them.
Interesting. My Best Friend's Wedding is a well-paced, fun flick that women will enjoy, and men will too if they are on a date. Leslie Rigoleau, Film Scouts. God, Leslie, maybe men will just enjoy it because it's a good movie. Okay?
Maybe. Or maybe that it's going to get them laid because they're going to movies watching this crap. Every once in a long while, along comes a refreshing change like My Best Friend's Wedding, a movie whose appeal rests largely on its knack for defying our expectations by riffing off, even undermining a familiar genre. Rick Groen, Globe and Mail.
Roberts puts her heart into this one. Audiences are likely to return the favor. Peter Travers, Rolling Stone.
These reviews make me want to hate this movie. The screenplay has never been on autopilot. It just fooled us into thinking it was in order to sneak up on the unpredictability. Roger Ebert, Chicago Sun-Times, original score, 3 out of 4.
See, if Ebert likes it, I think you will too.
I haven't always agreed with Roger Ebert.
Just because that one review was like, brings her back to the genre. She did Something to Talk About in 1995, which was 2 years before this.
Right.
But in between there, like Everyone Says I Love You, she did her stint on Friends. She did Mary Riley, which was not liked by a lot of people. Did Michael Collins, which...
Oh, I like Michael Collins.
Yeah, good reviews. And then came My Best Friend's Wedding. But then she went into did Conspiracy Theory, a stint on Murphy Brown, and Stepmom. And then Notting Hill hit in 1999. So basically she has a huge hit every 2 years in the romantic comedy genre. So
yeah, she's got a lot of box office winners. I'll give her that.
Oh yeah, she's done well.
All right, here are the rotten. Who did the last one?
I think you did.
Yeah. Yes, I did.
My turn.
All right.
The film's brazen amorality gradually freezes the smile on your face. Time out.
A romantic comedy conspicuously lacking either romance or comedy. Stephen Hunter, Washington Post.
Harsh.
Take that, Roberts.
Emotionally, this is a movie that just doesn't compute. You leave feeling cross, as if you've been tricked. Susan Stark, Detroit News. Original score, 2 out of 4.
An obtuse, prettily decorative comedy. Janet Maslin, New York Times, original score, 2 out of 5.
How is it obtuse, Janet?
Yeah, meow. Janet. IMDb. 155,000 user ratings, comes in at 6.3. And that's not bad considering IMDb. There's
True
a lot
story.
All right, you may start.
One of the best comedies of the 90s. 10 out of 10. Mr. Caw, 12.
Forever and ever, this movie will stay in my heart. 9 out of 10. Blot 2319-1.
Subversive, giggly fun. 8 out of 10. Snoopy style.
Snoopy style. Snoopy style.
Yeah, Snoopy style.
Kind of sex move is that? When you're done, you just dance around like Snoopy. Julia Roberts works her magic for an unlikable female protagonist. There you go. Yeah, 7 out of 10. Maid Moiseral?
Maybe? Madame Moiseral?
Moiseral?
Not funny or very romantic, but okay overall. 6 out of 10. Ollie Suave, 007.
What a dreadful friend. Unfunny, avoid. 5 out of 10. Light darkness, 14.
Straight to the point. Way more mean and sociopathic than I remember. 4 out of 10. Life's meaning.
My conniving former friend's treachery. 3 out of 10. Rough set to fascist. Really?
Oh, I read that one from him before. Or
Did you?
them. Yeah. And I couldn't pronounce it either. Only movie I've ever walked out of. 2 out of 10. Darren Millane, 42.
Romanticizing psychotic manipulation. 1 out of 10. PVPL Vasalou.
Yeah.
Have you ever walked out of a movie?
No.
No.
I came really close during Titanic.
Really?
Yeah, I fucking hate that movie.
Really?
I hate it so much.
I love that movie.
It is
I
too
love
long.
Yes, I love that they could have shortened it up. I love the Titanic sinking.
Oh no, that scene was great. And when that
Yeah.
was happening, I sent a quiet prayer up to the Lord and I said, "Thank you, Jesus. This movie is almost done." Then there was a whole fucking hour afterwards. And it was like, what the fuck?
Yeah,
I
the
was
2
mad
hours
about the whole
before it.
thing. It was not. And then I got mad at the old lady for throwing the necklace in the ocean. And I was just like, I was mad. 3 hours. 3 hours. And then the worst part was I was on a date and the guy I was on a date with, like, I was ready when the lights came up to turn to him and be like, that was the shittiest thing I've ever seen in my life.
And he
I
was
look at
crying.
him, wept. His face was wet with tears, looked me dead in the eye and said, that was the most beautiful movie I've ever seen.
See, he probably did that to try to get in your pants.
I was like, we are never talking again. And the worst part was he gave me this was, I think, just before Christmas. He gave me a Christmas gift. And it was a really cute, like, old-timey Winnie the Pooh stuffy. And I still have it to this day. And he was a very nice young man. And then I waited a week until after Christmas. And between Christmas and New Year's, I broke up with him over the phone because I was like, I don't think we can talk anymore if you thought that movie was beautiful.
Yeah. and you cried. Men don't cry.
No. I'm fine with crying, but cry for something that's worth it. Titanic was not worth crying. Are you fucking kidding? No. Also, Leo would have fit on that fucking door. Rose was a bitch. Anyway.
Yeah, she needed her space. All right, so we have done box office. We have done the tail of the tape. We have looked at the reviews. Let's watch the trailer and make our predictions.
Michael and Julianne have been best friends for years.
The one constant thing in my life is that he'll always be there.
But they were never more than that.
Call me 4 a.m, whatever, we gotta talk.
Until he popped the question.
I called because I met someone.
To someone else.
Well,
We're getting married.
he was in love with me every day for 9 years. Me?
I can see why.
Look, she has known him for what, like 5 seconds? I can't lose him, George. I'm a busy girl. I've got 4 days to break up a wedding and steal the bride's feather. Oh!
See the girl with the diamond ring? She knows how to.
You know, I've never had a sister. All I've heard is Julianne this and Julianne that.
Michael and I were a wrong fit right from the start.
He said that too.
George, she's toast.
The only fear she really has is you.
So this means that I have 4 days to make you my new best friend and be my maid of honor?
What?
Why not? You're practically the best man anyway.
I just asked myself, what would Lucy Ricardo do in this situation?
Who's that guy?
I told him, George, if we're engaged, why be ashamed of it, right? Something wrong.
It's just a big surprise.
We thought you were a lesbian.
We have to talk about George.
You're jealous?
Crazy George.
Personally, I think Mr. Michael's marrying the wrong girl.
Just tell him you love him.
I realize this comes at a very inopportune time. Marry me.
The moment I wake up, before you put on your makeup.
TriStar Pictures presents
I'm the bad guy.
a story about finding the love of your life
Do you really love him?
and deciding
Or is this just about winning?
what to do about it.
I trusted you. Just tell me why.
Why did you trust me?
No, why did you pretend to be my friend?
Julia Roberts, Dermot Mulroney, and Cameron Diaz.
Michael!
Lovely together.
My best friend's wedding.
Michael!
That's our maid of honor. She's from New York.
I don't know if this is still going to hold the magic it used to hold.
Yeah. Yeah. Well.
Yeah.
Nostalgia.
Oh, I'm sure there'll be lots of nostalgia. I'm sure there will be lots of like moments where I'm like, oh God, I had a sweater like that. It's okay. I'll just rewatch Mystic Pizza or Steel Magnolias to bleach if this is bad.
I don't know how good I don't remember loving it or anything. I don't know if I'm going to like it. I don't know. We'll see. I'm not.
We're gonna find out.
Yeah, we're gonna find out. All right. We're going to go watch this.
So excited.
Yeah. And then we'll come back. We'll review it. All right. Let's go watch my best friend's wedding. Okay.
You heard them. Movie time. Let's all go to the lobby and get ourselves a treat, and then watch a classic kick-ass movie from whenever the one we're about to watch was made.
Ooh, what a cunt. Kids?
Accurate.
Did you watch the 1997 rom-com My Best Friend's Wedding?
Why, yes, I did indeed.
Okay, so before we do this, we'll go to our poll from YouTube. Actually, let's wait. We'll do that at the end when we're about to do our scores, and we'll do the poll. So your initial thoughts on My Best Friend's Wedding?
How do I put this? I don't know where the romance was in this movie, and the comedy was severely lacking. But my God, is it an advertisement for toxic relationships?
Yeah, like I said, I don't remember loving this movie or anything, but I remember it being, or I thought I remembered it being funnier. Maybe it was funnier.
Maybe it was funnier before we realized just how fucked up this entire situation was.
But see, I think they meant it to be fucked up. Like
No, I understand. It's not even her. She's not the problem. It's the relationship between Kimmy and the guy. What's his name? I keep forgetting his name.
Michael.
That's it. Between Kimmy and Michael. And that's where it took a turn for me.
And yeah, that's because I noticed a lot of the times where he was like, we're done, we're through, and she's begging him to. I'm like, dude, I had high school friends like that.
Well, also, she's 20.
Yeah.
And about to give up her life to go on the road with a mid-level sports writer. I was like, girl. And she said in the movie she wanted to have her own life and her own career, and she wanted to finish school. And then as soon as he's like, well, we talked about this. If you don't want to do this, and then he's all angry and stuff. And she's like, no, I beg you to stay. And I was like, are you fucking shitting me?
Yeah, that's right. You beg.
Look, he is a very attractive man. But I say this to everybody who's thinking about stopping work. You make sure you have a career, or you work for a little bit. If you want to stay home, be a stay-at-home spouse or stay-at-home parent, by all means. It's really fucking hard work, and I don't know if I would have the patience to do it. God bless. However, you make sure you have some sort of training in something, and you refresh that training as soon as your kids or when you have time, you refresh that. Because this whole movie, I was like, the whole point of a romantic comedy is because you want the couple to end up together in the end. And then when it happens, you feel a lot of satisfaction. I did not want these people to be together.
No.
I wanted Kimmy to run. Just run like the fucking wind. Instead, she begged to stay. God damn it, Kimmy.
My initial thoughts are, I stand by my opening comments for the review part. Julia Roberts' character was a total bitch.
She was, but still charming.
Oh, super hot bitch, sure.
I said charming, not hot.
Yeah, she was still Julia Roberts, so she still had that charisma through the movie. But it was pretty by the numbers rom-com fare for the most part. This was during a wedding involving a main guy not marrying the movie's main antagonist. Now, I will give the movie extra points because our hero of the film is actually the villain.
Yes.
But you could argue, like you said, that Michael was a bit of a villain too.
Oh, he was totally a villain.
Yeah.
He is a terrible person.
But instead of the movie working its Hollywood math and making Julia, who's Julia Roberts' character, come out of this looking like the victim and magically winning the man, they didn't. So I do give it points for that.
100%.
Yeah, they threw a little Hollywood magic around and made her the hero who everyone forgave, which it would not work that way in reality, I'm sure.
Not a chance.
No, it would have turned into a cat fight.
Yeah.
That would have been a better movie. Julia Roberts and Cameron Diaz catfight.
I'd like a cat fight.
Yeah, biting and scratching turns into kissing.
I feel like you haven't been to enough cat fights.
Only up here.
No wonder it's turned into a soft core porn.
Also, note a highlight of the movie for me. Outrageously flamboyant gay best friend George, Rupert Everett.
Told you.
Gay guys are usually the comedic highlight in these movies.
They really, well, especially because he's British.
Yeah,
and they gave
that's
him
even
the British
better.
humor.
Yeah.
And his delivery was so good. And I was like, you're my favorite part of this movie.
Yeah,
My
he
absolute
was
favorite part.
he was one of the highlights. Because it's either usually the gay best friend of the girl or the slobby loser friend of the dude in rom-coms that stop me from pulling a bullet through my head halfway through these films.
I did like the cousins, though, that are the bridesmaids.
I did like the cousins, actually, yeah.
They were very entertaining, and it's really, really funny because, like, Rachel Griffith, who I love.
Yeah, she was the one from 6 Feet Under, right?
Yes.
Yes.
6 Feet Under, Muriel's Wedding. So good.
Yeah, she's done a lot of good stuff.
A lot. She's
And the other
so talented.
cousin was in True Blood. She was the waitress that worked with Sookie.
She's currently in one of my favorite shows on TV right now, Elsbeth. And it's a character that originated on The Good Wife, went over to The Good Fight, and now she's got her own series. And she is like, she was always my favorite whenever she popped up on those other series. And I was like, oh, Elsbeth. And now she got her own show. And I love Carrie Preston, who plays her. She's magic. She's just magic.
Yeah, I was surprised first because I'm like, I know them from somewhere. And then I had to look it up, but then I'm like, oh, okay, yes, I do. Yes,
Well, even in the very opening of the movie with the dancing and the singing, I was like, I know one of you.
Yeah, the one girl is
Bree Turner.
Bree Turner.
Yeah. I was like, I recognize your face. I need to look you up. And I was like, oh my God, I've seen you in so many things.
I looked up the other ones in case they were, but they were in other stuff, mostly as dancers and stuff like that. But yeah, Bree Turner was in quite a few things. She was in Grimm. That's where I remembered her from.
I remember, I think, her from some TV movies.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. Anyways.
All right. So let's go over My Best Friend's Wedding from 1997. Now, 3 weeks before her 28th birthday, I had trouble wrapping my head around this.
Right.
Because when I was watching this, they looked older to me for some reason. I don't know why.
Hilarious thing. I actually looked it up. She's only a few years older than 28 in this movie.
Yeah, she's 30,
in her early,
I think, right?
Yeah, she's in like her very early 30s. So I was sitting there going, damn, girl. You still look good, but damn.
Yeah, and then Cameron Diaz, I think, was 25.
Yeah.
She did this and played, but yeah. It was hard. Like in my mind state, what's the word? It's not xenomorphic, which is someone that actually looks much younger than they really are. I know I don't look younger than Julia Roberts here. I know I don't look younger than Julia Roberts now. And she's got quite a few years on me.
Well, Julia Roberts, I don't know, maybe it's just like she hit a certain age in her mid-20s and just stayed there.
Stayed that way, yeah.
And I was like, okay, I'm not mad about it because even now she looks incredible.
Okay, so she was like 30, early 30s. So hot.
So hot.
For those listening or watching, I'm going to be saying that a lot. I might not say a lot of nice things about this movie per se, but I will be commenting on Julia Roberts and Cameron Diaz hotness. Don't worry, subjectively, but all favorably and positive. Bit creepy.
Super creepy.
But I'm a middle-aged white dude, so, what are you going to do?
Creepy is your jam. It's just a state of being for you.
That's my wheelhouse. So, yes, they are turning 28. New York City food critic Julianne Potter, receives a call from her lifelong friend, Michael O'Neill, a Chicago sports writer. Okay, so first, let's talk about the opening, the music number. I actually liked it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was, at first, I'm like, I can't have anyone see me watching this. But I do like the old big music numbers and the artwork and the credits before the actual movies started, before George Lucas ruined it for everyone. But this reminded me of that.
Yeah, it
And
felt very, very classic, almost
yeah,
very 60s
yep,
in vibe. I liked
yeah.
it.
I did not mind it at all. I forgot about it, and it was again. It's something different, something we're
I
not
had
used
forgotten
to.
about it too.
Yeah, it was
As
fun.
soon as I heard the singing and I was watching it and I was like, "Oh, we're getting a performance."
Yeah, and don't be afraid of your feminine side. Yeah, and in the spirit, like, 'cause it's so I realize how hard when you talk about stuff like this, like in the spirit of not using the word gay. Uh, and to be totally honest here, I totally abused that word in my past.
Mm.
Seriously, like to the point that it didn't even really make sense. Like watching TV with buddies, they're like, "I'm going to the bathroom." I'm like, "Of course you are, because you're gay." That makes no sense. That's how much I abuse the word.
Oh, jeez.
So I looked up words to try to replace it specifically for this. It doesn't make sense. Homosexual, queer, lesbian. That's still hurtful. I don't want to hurt anyone's feelings. Lesbi-gay.
Excuse me?
Lesbi-gay. Homophile. Where were these words 20 years ago? But I like lavender.
Lavender.
That's so lavender. I like that one. That shouldn't be offensive. Oh,
I mean, it
God.
depends on how you feel about the color lavender.
Yeah.
I'm a little offended by it, so
Oh, you don't like lavender?
I wear black 98% of the time.
Hmm.
Pastels offend me a little bit.
And as a lavender phobe.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah. So I'm going to use lavender. Doesn't mean homosexual.
No.
No.
I don't know
think
what it means other than lavender, the color, or the plant.
That means it's kind of like a dandy.
Or you could just say it's a little campy.
Oh, and I found Glamour Boy. I like
Oh.
that one. That's a great one. I'm going to call my friends that a lot. That's it came from Dandy, which was like the sharp dresser, snappy dresser,
Yeah.
pretty boy. I also found Cop's Comb. I'm not sure what that means, but I like it. Peacock. I have a friend that's a peacock. Always
Yeah?
worried about his looks. Yeah.
I don't like peacocks in people.
No.
Yeah, it's not a good time because it really, really grates on my nerves.
Yeah, when they're like an hour late.
Yeah, or like they're like, I just can't get my hair right. I'm like, your hair looks fine.
Yeah. Yeah, I have a friend like that. I have a couple, but I have one that's really like that. He's married and has kids now, and he's not as bad, but yeah. Like, okay, let's go. We're gonna go to the bar. Give me 2 hours.
Yeah, no, I had a friend like that. We were going to a hockey game once and I got ready. 15 minutes, I was good to go. He changed his outfit like 6 times.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
I was like, Jiminy Crickets, we're going to watch a hockey game. We're not going to the club. Relax. Yeah, it was interesting. We didn't end up going to the hockey game.
All right. So years earlier, the two agreed that if they were both unmarried by age 28, they would marry each other. Michael tells her that in 4 days, he will marry the beautiful Kimmy Wallace, a college student, 8 years his junior, whose father owns the Chicago White Sox. And that's another thing, too, with the way he acted. Like, honey, you're a fucking billionaire. Sure, Mulroney's hot and shit, but dude, you can have anybody. God. Realizing...
Yeah, she's 20. She's nice. And she's the daughter of a billionaire.
Yeah.
In her junior year at university to be an architect.
Yeah.
She can do better.
Yeah. Realizing that she was in love with him, Jules resolved to sabotage his wedding. So right out of the gate, it really plays like Jules just wants him because she can't have him. And they actually explore that through the dialogue.
They do.
And I'm watching it going, you bitch.
Well, no, because it all starts with, because George and Jules are at the dinner where apparently she's reviewing the place, which, by the way, it would never happen like that.
No.
Ever.
No.
But anyways, so she's reviewing and then, she checks her messages and there's the message from Michael telling her to call him as soon as she can, whatever time, it doesn't matter.
And she thinks it's this marrying thing.
Well, she realizes it after talking to George, because George is like, And because she tells the story, they
Yeah.
dated for a month, and then they realized, he said, "Oh, the worst part is I'm going to lose my best friend," and I realized he was right, and we've been best friends ever since. Yada yada yada, blah blah blah. Anywho, then George is like, "How old are you going to be? 28?" Da, da, da. She tells the story about when they made that plan, and then she's like, "Oh, that's totally what he's calling about." Because she's crazy. Because apparently that's exactly what you think. Because that's how well you know your best friend.
Yeah.
Anyways, she calls him back, and he's like, "I've been trying to call you for a month." I was like, "What kind of shitty best friend are you? You
Yeah.
don't answer for a month? That's
There
weird."
were cell phones in 1997. Actually, they were using them.
They were using them.
They were
She had
huge, and they had giant antennas.
antennas. I noted that. Because first with the cell phone at the table, she busts out the antenna, and I was like, "Damn, I remember when that actually did make reception better."
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And then when she's in the hotel room, she uses the cordless phone in the room, and she like pulls the antenna,
Pulls the
and I was
antenna.
like, "Shit, antennas."
Yeah.
That was a blast from the past.
Yeah. That was kind of cool. I did like that part.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I also liked her fashion through the majority of this. I was very into it. But yeah, no.
Yeah, me too.
He You're terrible. But yeah, he tells her, like, "I'm gonna marry this girl in 4 days." I'm like, "You didn't even send her an invite? You know where she lives?" Like,
Yeah,
you
I mean, even if she wasn't answering the phone, you could have sent her
sent her an
an invite card.
invitation.
Yeah.
Then that makes, it makes more sense. But through this whole I was just like, the setup felt very sloppy
Yes.
and very and I was like, "No, I don't believe that you guys are best friends. This is not best friend material. Like, this is a guy I used to know at college kind of behavior. Like, this is not best friends." But anyways, I didn't like the setup that much. But from the beginning,
It was kind of weak.
the setup was kind of weak.
Yeah.
And she goes in hard with the
Oh,
"No,
she doesn't
man,
waste any time. Yeah, no.
she's like, "I've got 4 days to convince him to marry me." Excuse me? Okay.
Yeah.
And we're off.
And arriving in Chicago, she reunites with Michael and meets Kimmy, who asks her to be the maid of honor. Also, yeah, couldn't wrap my head around Cameron Diaz being a 20-year-old. But like she was 25 when she did this.
She acted very young, so I'll give her that.
Yes.
It was easy to, when you first see her, you're like, "That's not a 20-year-old." But then when she starts speaking, you're like, "Okay, yeah, there's the 20."
Yeah, clueless. Yeah, I forgot how young they were. It did put me in a young mindset though, and it did kind of put me in a 90s mindset, especially with the phone.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was
The outfits they were wearing, because Cameron Diaz was working the super preppy 90s vibe where it was very almost 60s very debutante ball, and I was like, "Oh yeah, we're there."
Jules schemes to break up the couple, but her attempt to humiliate Kimmy at a karaoke bar backfires. Okay, so first they meet at the airport. Like you said, she starts talking, and you're right. Like, yes, okay, there it is. Julia sizes her up. They talk while driving. Jesus Christ, that was
terrifying.
Yeah. Like it looked like they just drove erratic on the streets and filmed it. Like because Michael's like, yeah, the wedding is 4 days, and he did say like he was trying to get hold of her for a month, but like you said, could have sent a fucking invite,
right?
They talked to Kimmy. Kimmy knows all about Jules because Michael told her all this stuff. I did like her getting the different color than the other bridesmaid because Kimmy knew Jules wouldn't feel comfortable unless she looked distinct. The seamstress was actually funny in this scene.
The seamstress was amazing. She's also one of my favorite actresses. I watched her for years on Gilmore Girls.
Oh, okay.
She's hilarious, and I love her.
Yeah, when she's talking about, well, you don't want those falling out.
We don't want those falling out.
Yeah, and then she's like, "Don't worry, I'm not hurting you."
That was my favorite. "Don't worry, I'm not hurting you."
Yeah. And I'm like, you know how many times and then it was like a flashback as a child. How many times you heard that? "Don't worry, it's not hurting you." And like, you're like, I beg to differ.
How many times when you were about to cry, someone's like, "You're not hurt."
Yeah, you're not hurt.
You're fine.
Yeah, you're fine.
You're like, "But," and now I find myself doing that to kids. Where I'm like, "You're okay, kid. Shake
Walk
it off. You're good."
Oh
God.
And then what else happened? Then we get to see Julia Roberts in her bra and panties.
Uh-huh.
A
Which,
highlight.
those are very big panties.
Yeah.
High-waisted.
They talk about Michael's shitty job, his snoring.
Mm-hmm.
Funny enough, they don't talk about his giant penis that has caught this billionaire daughter. Like,
that means the penis was not that impressive.
Or he never something.
I don't know. It was a weird dynamic between Kimmy and Jules, where it's like Jules is trying to be like, I know him better, and Kimmy's just like, oh yeah, no, totally. High five, this is funny. And you're just like, girl. Like, initially I thought it was just her being a ditz, but then eventually I figured it out, and I was like, she's playing chess.
Yes.
She's working this, and I'm like, you're really smart.
And then that's what Jules accuses her of later on.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought she dressed, was that preppy? I don't know. I thought she dressed like an old lady.
That's super preppy.
Yeah.
Like those shift dresses, if you watch, I think it's the second Scream, even though it was a few years later than this movie. If you see the sorority girls, you'll see that same kind of vibe for clothing. Clueless.
Oh, okay.
Cher.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, they were all like wearing very similar things. That's if you were preppy, you had money. Like the other vibes, the grunge and the, I don't know, homeless chic, we'll call it. There were so many different like subgroups of fashion. This was a very specific one.
Okay.
This was the country club sorority sister vibe.
I thought Julia Roberts was like, okay, you can hire Cameron Diaz, but you have to dress her like an 80-year-old grandma, and I get to wear all the hot stuff.
She did look really hot. I love that. But she wore that suit out, and I was like, did you not bring a second outfit? She's just wearing the suit.
Yeah. Also, where is it here? I made a note. Kimmy's mom. She was hot.
Yeah.
Susan Sullivan. Isabel.
Yep.
Yeah. She's been in a lot of stuff too.
Oh, she is a Hollywood powerhouse. She's been on so much, it's ridiculous.
So we got Kimmy and Kimmy's hot mom. I would not do well marrying into this family. Got a lot of leering and staring, like very uncomfortably. Even the cousins.
Way to out yourself as a creep.
Yeah. Okay, so are we back at Wikipedia? No, but we get there. Then we go to the White Sox game. Jules is flirting.
Yes.
That was a tight fucking shirt. Oh my God. That she was wearing. And what spectacular boobies she had.
You know what? I'm pretty sure she still has those spectacular boobies.
Oh, good for her.
Yeah. Those are lovely.
Oh, you mean they're fake?
No.
Oh, okay.
I think those are actually natural, but for some reason, like the skin on her face, it does not sag. Like she just has these very nice, very natural looking perky breasts. And I think through most of this movie, she's not wearing a bra.
Yeah, she wasn't wearing a bra there. And they were, I don't know, we
noticed.
I noticed.
Yeah, you did.
Yep. Then do we go back to Wikipedia? Nope. Then they go to the karaoke bar.
Yeah, yes.
Not for naught, Kimmy can't sing worth a shit.
No, but Jules works real hard to get them there and to get Kimmy to sing. And Michael, who is marrying this girl in 3 days, doesn't apparently know that not only does his fiance not sing well, she's terrified about singing in public.
And he
he's
loves
all like,
going to karaoke bars.
Come on, it'll be fun.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's kind of emotionally abusive.
Yeah, sounds like me. Come on, it'll be fun. Just do it.
I know it terrifies you and it makes you super uncomfortable and you don't want to do it, but come on, it'll be fun.
Yeah.
Please embarrass yourself.
No one should have been cheering her on.
Well, here's the thing, and I made a note about this. It's hard to sing that badly on purpose because she had it pitched, because you know you know when someone's purposely trying to sing badly and you're like, okay, yeah, they're milking it or they're like doing that on purpose. You didn't get that from her when she was
No.
singing.
No,
It felt very natural.
I watched a show, was it Young Sheldon, and Reba McEntire sometimes appears on it, and she appeared on it and did a karaoke thing where she sang, and she sang horribly, but you could tell she was forcing
trying
it. Yeah.
No, Cameron Diaz, like she somehow, like just the way she was singing and how flat she was and how off key she was, I was like, God, girl, you must have practiced that like so much.
Or she really sucks. If I was there, you would have heard me in the back. Stop singing. Take off your shirt. It's the 90s. I wouldn't say that now.
90s.
And let me retract that, because in reality, talking in front of a crowd is freaking hard. Singing in front of a crowd of strangers, if you could do that,
tell me about it.
Yeah, you deserve the applause just for braving the attempt.
The only time I can do karaoke is if I'm drunk and with a lot of my friends.
Yeah.
And like if that's the majority of the group that's there.
Yeah, over half the bar is your friends.
Yeah. Then I'm like, sure, no problem. Like I'll belt. I don't mind belting out a song like in the middle of the street. I'm cool. But if there are other people there.
Yeah, if it's just two of you.
Yeah, if it's just two of us and then the rest
there.
are strangers, I'm like, I'm not singing in front of these mofos. Are you kidding me? No, not unless I'm hammered.
Yeah. Okay, so yes, that backfired on Jules. Okay, she manipulates Kimmy into asking her father to offer Michael a job, which Jules knows will anger Michael. But this fails as well. So after karaoke, Jules was going to hang out with Kimmy until Kimmy says she doesn't have to. And then Jules jumps at the chance to go hang out with Michael. That was kind of douchey. Like they really make this
douchey.
Yeah, this character not very nice. And they talk and talk. That's a rom-com. And not just talking, but insightful and inner feelings talking. Sucked. I sat there going, where did I put my gun? But this is where Jules finds out that Kimmy is going on the road with Michael to cover a bunch of his games. And she's like, why don't you get a job with the billionaire father-in-law? Like I would.
Right?
I would take a great job at a billionaire's company.
Oh, hell yeah.
Bang his daughter and hit on his wife. And this is where Jules gets the idea to manipulate Kimmy into asking her father to offer Michael a job. And it almost succeeds. Michael's acting really lavender about the whole thing.
No. Let's not sully Lavender. Now I'm sticking up for Lavender. Do you see what this movie has done? No, he's super, super douchey.
The whole movie, it's all about him, really. Like
it's what he's wants.
Not really compromising anything.
No, it's almost like he says, "You know what? You can have the wedding you want, but we're gonna live the rest of our lives according to me."
Yeah,
like they don't know where they're going on honeymoon because the motherfucker didn't take the time off. No, he's taking her along to his mid-range hotels to watch random baseball teams. Are you fucking shitting me? Nah. Douchebag.
This movie had a sore spot on Anna.
Well, because I remember liking this movie and I remember being so happy for Kimmy and Michael being together and true love. And now watching it back, I'm like, God, the 90s really were like toxic love. Like that was the theme of the 90s.
Yeah, it could be. I mean, I've seen most of the movies in most of the big movies in the 90s, but yeah, you're right. It could have been a running theme because all she did really was offer him a great job. She didn't say you have to take it. She just said she lied, but she said her dad needs help just for a few months and and he like loses his shit. And I'm sitting there going like, calm down, glamour boy. She
that's also because Jules primed him to be like, okay, but yeah, your job's not a serious job. Come on. And I was like, I'd be more mad at my best friend telling me that the job I love is not a serious job.
Yeah.
Because at least like with my future spouse, I'm like, I kind of understand it where that's coming from. You want to make sure, especially if you're giving up your fucking career, you want to make sure that he's making enough to support you, even though daddy's a billionaire.
Yeah, and so Michael calms down and apologizes, and Jules is like, fuck. Frustrated, Jules begs her friend George Downs for help, and he flies to Chicago. Yeah, she calls and leaves a message while he's having that dinner party.
That dinner party was fucking amazing. And then all of a sudden he's like, desserts?
Yeah,
Or coffee?
Coffee,
He's like,
yeah.
coffee? And everybody's like, oh, yeah.
He was the main in Cemetery Man. I don't know if you've ever seen it. It's a
I don't think I
zombie movie
have.
from the early 90s. But I was wondering if he was actually really gay.
He is.
Very much so. He was a highlight of this movie. This movie would have sucked more if he was not in it.
Oh, God, so much. It would have sucked so much more. He really was the highlight.
Yeah. So on George's advice, Jules prepares to tell Michael how much she loves him, but instead tells him that she is engaged to George, hoping to make Michael jealous. George, who is gay, plays along, but embarrasses Jules at lunch with the wedding party singing I Say a Little Prayer, as a whole restaurant joins in, and then George flies home. That's Wikipedia. Then you have all that thing where Michael's getting a suit fitted.
Yeah.
And George is fucking around with the mannequins and
yes. He shows up to give moral support to Jules to tell Michael that she loves him.
Yeah.
Because he's like, you just have to be honest. Just tell him how you feel. And she can't do it.
No.
But she's distracted by George fucking around and playing with mannequins and shit.
Yeah. Trying to like open, like kiss her and touch her.
So they call him over. Like, who is that guy? Oh, that's George, my fiance. And then all of a sudden, he goes for it. And I appreciate that about George.
Yeah, that was funny. And I could have used a bit more George, but maybe it was the right amount of George, but
I wanted a little more George. I wanted more phone calls with George.
Yeah, actually, you could have made a movie about George. I probably would have liked it better.
Honestly, I would have liked this movie from George's POV.
Yeah, that would have been good.
Right?
Yeah. So next to Julia Roberts' hotness, George was definitely a highlight of this movie. They should give George a TV show like that character.
Oh, that would be great.
Yeah, like make him in charge of some TV show, like within the TV show. Like, yeah, that
charge of some TV show within the TV show.
He runs a TV show, so he deals with all these different characters as George. That'd be great. And Jules tells Michael that her relationship with George is over. Michael admits to feeling jealous and gives her a second chance to confess her own feelings, but she lets the moment pass. They share a dance as Michael sings their song, The Way You Look Tonight.
That was something that really bothered me because he's like, we don't even have a song. We're getting married and we don't have a song. And I was like, you didn't think you'd need a song to dance to? You couldn't pick one out?
It's like
You've never danced with your future wife?
It's like they had the ending plan and worked backwards.
Yeah. I was like, that makes no motherfucking sense.
No. They didn't listen to one song during their entire relationship.
They never, ever danced. No. Not once. Bullshit.
Yeah, by now I'm questioning, what the fuck do you guys have in common? Like, why are you getting married?
She's 20 and he's a douchebag.
Yeah, I get she's hot and rich. Okay, that makes sense.
Hot and rich and apparently willing to beg him to stay every time he's an asshole to her.
Oh, nothing like some begging. The day before the wedding at Kimmy's father's office, Jules uses his email account to... That was
Can we talk about how she wrote the email?
That was a blast from the past when she turned on that computer. I'm like, oh my God.
Oh, yeah. No, when she turned it on, I was like, oh, shit. And then when she's like, to the editor and Eric, the editor at Sportsnet, I was like, that's not even an email address. That's just the name and the title of someone's job.
Yeah. Yeah. And that was an old operating system.
Oh, God, so old. That shit was DOS.
Yeah, that was cool. So Jules uses his email account to forge a message from him to Michael's boss. Yeah, they didn't even use a real email address. Asking that Michael be fired to allow Kimmy's father to hire him at Kimmy's insistence. She saves the message rather than send it, but later realizes that Kimmy's father has unknowingly sent the email. Jules lies to enlist Michael's help, but they find the office locked. Returning to Jules' hotel, Michael receives a message from his boss notifying him of the email. Furious, he calls Kimmy, calling off the wedding.
Yep.
Yeah. And in this scene where she's smoking in the hallway and we see Paul Giamatti of all fucking people.
know.
I'm like, where the fuck did you come from?
When he pops up, I'm like, Paul Giamatti, how you doing?
Why are you in this movie? And then I actually went to IMDb, and he had only been doing some smaller roles.
Yeah.
And then I think the same year he did, because this was 1997, so he played Kenny the station manager in the Howard Stern movie Private Parts.
Mm-hmm.
And although that didn't do anywhere near as good as this movie, people definitely noticed Paul Giamatti's performance in that movie. And then after that, he got bigger and bigger until he became.
Well, he had a lot of stuff that came out in 97.
Yes.
Donnie Brasco, Private Parts, Deconstructing Harry.
Oh, yeah. So 1997 was a big year, not so much in this movie, but, and then after this, like, I'm a huge Paul Giamatti fan. He's awesome. I still haven't seen The Holdovers. It's
still
on
haven't
my
seen
list.
it either.
No.
I keep passing it on. I'm like, I need to focus on you.
I know. I'm like, maybe I should save it for Christmas next year, because it is a Christmas movie. I'm like, do I want to watch it? Do I want to wait that long?
I don't want to wait that long. Also, what if it's a sucky Christmas movie?
Yeah, and then you waste a Christmas movie.
Then you waste a Christmas movie, you know?
I have that same feeling for Silent Night that's now on Prime. Or Paramount, one of them.
Yeah.
It looks cool, but might not be cool.
Yeah.
This is also when Michael opens a door and Jules is still smoking, and that ash falls in her hair.
Yes.
Like, it's a big ash and it's really noticeable. And then some scenes when they're going back and forth, it's there, it's not there. It's there, it's not there.
That's because Julia Roberts was probably actually smoking a cigarette.
Yeah.
And
then they did another couple takes with her, not with the ash in her hair. Yeah.
With whole new cigarettes.
Yeah. And also, just so everyone knows, I would totally make out with Julia Roberts and her cigarette breath. I don't care if it tasted like an ashtray. I'd fight through it. My tongue would fight through it.
That is quite the sacrifice, my friend.
Yeah.
Look at you just being so selfless.
The next morning, Jules discovers that neither Michael nor Kimmy have told anyone else that the wedding is off. She tries to manipulate the couple into breaking up for good, but Michael and Kimmy decide to get married after all. Then we get the boys breathing in the helium, and Jules really does try to manipulate them because they're getting her to go back and forth between them, and she's just making shit up or alternating it, flat out lying. Jules finally confesses her love to Michael and passionately kisses him. Kimmy witnesses this and drives away distraught, pursued by Michael, who in turn is pursued by Jules in a caterer's truck. Jules calls George while driving and explains the situation, who assures her that Michael loves Kimmy and Jules has now a brief opportunity to ensure the couple are reconciled before the scheduled time of the wedding. Finding Michael at a Chicago Union Station, Jules confesses to everything. He forgives her and tells her that the station is where he proposed to Kimmy, and she accepted, and they split up to look for Kimmy. The only part I missed that I really did like is when she called the cousin, and the other cousin got her tongue stick on the Michelangelo's David penis, frozen ice sculpture. Oh, that was that was funny.
That was so funny. And then they come in with the hair dryer. They're like, "Hold on, sweetie, it's okay."
I did like that part. That was good.
That was funny. And also the conversation that George has with Julia, because he's at a book reading or whatever.
Yeah.
And then he slinks off to do the, and he's like, "And who's chasing you? Nobody."
Yeah.
I was like, "Thank you. Nobody's chasing you. Stop chasing other people."
Jules finds Kimmy in the bathroom of Komsky Park. Amid a crowd of onlookers, Kimmy confronts Jules for interfering with Michael. Jules apologizes, assuring Kimmy that Michael truly loves her, and they reconcile. I did like this scene. I mean, romantic comedy thing, but all the girls around them I
liked it.
It was a funny scene.
Yeah. No, it was good because then they have a whole audience, and then they're like,
yeah,
it's almost like an episode of Jerry Springer.
I was just about
everybody
to say,
gets involved.
They're like,
everybody gets involved. Yeah.
Oh. The wedding proceeds, and at the reception, Jules gives a heartfelt speech as Kimmy's maid of honor. Jules allows the newlyweds to temporarily have "The Way You Look Tonight" as their song. There's where that part had to be used in the movie. They had to have no song, so Jules could give it to them. And she gives it to them until they can find their own song. Jules and Michael share their goodbyes. Michael finds her in the crowd and gives her a hug. Both finally move on. On the phone with George, Jules is surprised to see him at the reception, and they dance together. What a great gay friend. I wish I had more gay friends. They seem awesome.
They are awesome.
I don't have, but yeah, this scene was actually pretty good.
Yeah, no, I really like the final scene. It made no sense to me that Jules would have been invited to her wedding. Like, I can understand, okay, maybe invited, but I would not, like, if I was Kimmy I wouldn't let her speak. I wouldn't let her walk down the aisle. I'd be like, you can sit in the second row in your pretty lavender dress, but that's as far as you'll go.
Yeah.
Like, yes, I understand you apologized. Yes, I understand you worked really hard to get us back together, but you were the reason why we were fighting.
Yeah.
So shut the fuck up, bitch. You're lucky I didn't disinvite you and like cut you off.
Yes, totally agree. But I did like that where
block your number,
where George calls and does like he's talking
that.
About that was a good scene. That was not a funny scene. That was a nice scene. I like that.
It was a really, really nice scene.
Look at me being all lavender.
I know, right? You're such a lovely lilac. No, and the only issue I had is when they were dancing, Julia Roberts' lovely but very distinctive laugh coming in at a very high volume that it felt very fake.
Yeah, once she did that Pretty Woman thing.
Yeah.
That's like her signature.
And I love her laugh. It's just, I was like, George needs to be laughing just as hard as you, because it just looks like you randomly bust out into laughter.
Yeah.
And it feels almost a little forced. But I was like, everything that preceded that, I was down for. I was like, yeah, that's a great scene. This is so good. Yes, George, you were the best friend ever, because that's what best friends do. They answer the phone when their best friends call.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, Jules.
Yeah. He didn't answer Michael's phone for over a month.
A month.
Yeah.
A month.
And that is our movie. Oh, so let's bring up the YouTube scores. So this was, we put it out for those listening. If you follow us on YouTube, we put now a thing where we ask everyone the movie we're about to review if they would buy it, rent it, stream it, or skip it. Where did I put it here? There it is. So 25% said buy it. You should already own it. 33% rent it. Her smile is like sunshine. 8% stream it. You promised a rom-com. 33% skip it. Too many reasons to list. So that was not quite. I thought it was going. Well, no, that seems about right.
Rent it and skip it.
Yeah.
Neck and neck. Look at that. Interesting.
All right. So that is our movie. What is your score?
Well, I'm bordering between stream it and skip it. And here's why. If you are even just a self-respecting person, this movie can be hard to watch because you're sitting there going, why is Kimmy marrying Michael? Why does Jules want Michael? I don't understand. Michael is shit. But then you have George, and George is amazing. And every scene with him in it is magic. And it almost makes it worth it to watch. There's nothing super painfully offensive. Mildly offensive, yes. But not painfully offensive in this movie. But mildly offensive, yes. So, I mean, I think it just depends on how sensitive you are. If you are pretty sensitive to mildly verbally abusive and emotionally abusive men, dating women who are much younger than them and forcing them to, like, drop their entire lives in order to be with them at some mid-level job, you don't want to watch this movie.
Yeah, he wasn't even rich.
Right. She's the one with the money. He was hot, though. He was hot.
Yeah.
However, Julia Roberts, incredible charisma. Rupert Everett, incredible charisma. Cameron Diaz does a fantastic job And so many great actors in the supporting cast all across the board. So, I mean, it's an okay stream it. I would never pay money for this movie. And I am surprised that I did when I was 17 and I went to go watch this.
You went to the theater and watched it?
God, yeah. I was a 17-year-old girl.
Yeah.
Of course I did. So, yeah. So I'm saying right on the border of stream it and skip it. It kind of flickers between the two. What's your score?
My score? I am not a huge fan of the rom-com. And My Best Friend's Wedding is no exception. Save for one funny gay guy and a curveball or two in the movie, this is still a rom-com. Yes, it does have a redeeming factor, and the main character doesn't actually end up with the girl, or the boy in this case, sorry. Maybe it's a cautionary tale about wanting to tell someone that you love, that you really love them. Maybe it's something. Just kidding, I don't care. I have been married for a while. I have a house full of children. No amount of rom-com movies can put a positive spin on this. As far as I have lived, they're all lies. But as an individual who watches movies on the regular, I say skip it. Obviously, if you love Julia Roberts, rom-coms, you might like this movie. For an asterisk, if you're forced to watch this movie, yes, I say forced. It isn't as bad as some rom-coms, but there's a lot better. Like, if you're a man whose wife or girlfriend demands a rom-com viewing every now and again, or you're a man whose partner demands a rom-com, because not all gay guys love rom-coms, I'm sure, or you're a lesbian whose partner demands a rom-com, because not all lesbians love rom-coms. That's probably more common than the gay guys. I'm being stereotypical. If you're a woman whose husband or boyfriend likes rom-coms, first I consider your life choices, and then this isn't the worst one to watch. There are some moments in it that are fun. Rupert Everett is awesome. And you're right. Julia Roberts is very charismatic.
Mm-hmm.
I do like the idea that they didn't sell out the ending. She didn't get the guy.
Yeah.
I did like that. And if you absolutely have to watch a rom-com and she rejects or he rejects something about Mary, the Wedding Singer, Groundhog Day, Wedding Crashers, Along Came Polly, Knocked Up, Just Friends, but they want a traditional rom-com, I would say I can't say rent it. Like, scour the internet. Don't pay anything for this.
No, I would never.
No,
like,
but if
now I would never pay for this.
No, like if you see it and you're into it, and yeah, I would say. But as myself, skip it. This is not.
Yeah.
I enjoyed Rupert Everett.
You want to watch a good rom-com? Miss Congeniality.
I don't know if I've ever seen that. I know it's Sandra Bullock. Actually, yeah. There, you want some traditional rom-coms?
Yeah.
Or other Julia Roberts, like Notting Hill and...
Notting Hill is a great one. You know what? Even Pretty Woman. If you want to because I mean, that one's still relatively entertaining.
But any Sandra Bullock from the 90s, early 2000s, any Drew Barrymore.
Yeah.
Jennifer
Never Been
Aniston. Kissed. Yeah, like there's tons that are better than this.
There's so 10 Things I Hate About You, because that is actually a rom-com.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
You know, I haven't watched She's the Man in a while, but I remember loving it.
But that's what I mean. Like the Knocked Ups and the Wedding Crashers, they aren't really rom-coms, but they kind of are.
Well, they are, because they're romantic comedies.
Yeah, but they're really focused on the comedy, which is,
and that's okay.
I love those.
Nobody puts a percentage on how much romance and how much comedy. There just has to be funny romance in it.
Yeah, and the 2000s, the beginning of the 2000s, they really, I guess, solved it there. Yeah, they went hard on that, and now they stopped making them completely.
The Proposal.
That was actually, I went to theaters and watched that. That was great.
That was a great rom-com. Like, there are so many that did. I think this movie would have worked better if there was an actual, like, a best man, and then she was asked to be the maid of honor, and the best man and the maid of honor did not want this couple together, because the best man was in love with the groom, or with the bride, and then the maid of honor is in love with the groom, or other way around. I mean, if that's your jam. And then they work together while trying to break them up, and they fall in love.
Yeah.
And then the groom and the bride can have this incredibly toxic relationship, so that when they break up, everybody can be like, oh, thank God.
Yeah. And make the
afraid they were gonna
groom
get
a little
married.
more or less douchey.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah.
Well, it was
you
funny.
could have done.
I had an issue with this mainly because in my rom-coms, when the couple gets together at the end, I need to believe they're going to be together forever.
Hmm.
When I was watching this, my first thought, they're going to be, if they get married, they're going to be divorced in 5 years.
Yeah, they're not gonna last.
They're not going to last. And I saw this and I was like, I don't actually care about them. Because I was like, okay, 28 to 20 makes me a little uncomfortable. Because that's a lot of life. That's a lot of life that
You're a
life
billionaire.
experience different. And you, especially if you grew up a very rich, probably a little sheltered, and then all of a sudden you meet this guy and you're like, I love him, so I'm going to give up everything I want to do with my life. I'm like, that's a very 20-year-old answer to that question. Mind you, if she was 25, she'd probably be like, yo, I spent a lot of time getting into this architecture firm. I don't know why you're trying to tell me to quit my job so I can go stay at like chain hotels with you.
Yeah.
That, have a shitty continental breakfast. Although no disrespect to continental breakfast, like some of them are pretty good. But still, I'm like, or the ones with the prepackaged croissants.
Oh yeah.
Those
little boxes of cereal.
Yeah. So I'm just I have an issue. But I mean, it was fine. I didn't find it super offensive.
No.
Just offensive enough. That's all it was. But Julia Roberts is hot. So's Cameron Diaz.
Yeah, they're both hot.
So's Dermot Mulroney.
Yeah. So's Rupert Everett.
So's Rupert Everett. He's a very attractive man.
Yeah, but it wasn't even that funny of a movie. Like, it had a couple funny parts.
Yeah.
But it wasn't overly funny. Like, it wasn't.
Other than with Rupert Everett, I think I only laughed maybe twice.
Yeah. Yeah.
It wasn't that funny, and it wasn't that romantic.
No, so we got a borderline stream it, skip it. We got a hard skip it with an asterisk. If you have to watch it, stream it.
If you have to watch.
Yeah. If your partner has a gun to your head. All right. Was there anything else you would like to add?
No, I think I'm good. Thank you.
All right. Well, then, thank you for going back to 1997 and taking a look at My Best Friend's Wedding. We don't do a lot of rom-coms, and after watching this movie, there's an obvious reason for that. So
we can find better rom-coms. That's going to be my goal.
I don't think that would be hard. This was not a great movie.
No, it was not.
No. All right. So until the next movie we remember liking.
Congratulations. You just had one of your childhood movie memories vindicated. Or they just eviscerated it. I don't know. This is a generic one-size-fits-all type of ending to the podcast. So thank you for listening, and please join Anna and Jimmy next time for another episode of the I Remember Liking That Movie podcast. If you dare to go back and watch that movie you remember liking,